Simply, is a person who belongs to the group of people who were the original inhabitants of a particular place, who therefore claim to be its rightful owners. So that is the context in which an indigene is. So, for example, people of the Middle Belt, of Igbo and Oduduwa people, who were born, whose ancestors were born, came from that land, they are rightful owners of the land that is Oduduwa, Igbo, and Middle Belt. So the same cannot be said for the Fulanis, because here is a key difference that we have to first understand. Firstly, the history, they're very, very clever. Let me see if I can show. I wish I could show this on here, but I don't think I can. Okay, so now, what I can say to you all is that the Fulanis, they didn't show up in any area in that contraption we call Nigeria until the 19th century. Please, I want you to remember that. Can you hear me, Jane? Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, good. So let me just make this. I want to make it. Let me just quickly. Okay. Right. Okay. So now, the Fulanis did not show up anywhere. They did not show up anywhere in that area until the 19th century. In fact, this is where they come from. Let me show you. I'll see if I can show some. I'll show a map on here. They come from a place called Futajalon in Guinea. So the ancestors of the man that they call Usman Dan Fodio, his direct ancestors come from Futajalon in Guinea. That's where they come from. And the first time we heard about anything to do with Fulanis was in the 19th century, when the parents of Usman Dan Fodio made their way down. They were traveling around, ended up in Chokoto, I believe it is, and that was where you first and there they gave birth to the son called Usman Dan Fodio. So it is very, very important that that point is emphasized, and we have to re-emphasize that point, because many of us, through the lack of history in our schools, we often don't get told this real story. The reality is, let me bring this here. Those of you watching on Facebook, you will see. The reality is, at the beginning of the 19th century, Sheikh Usman Dan Fodio led a successful jihad against the Hausa kingdom. So you know that he was after his parents had given birth to him, and he grew up in Hausa land. That was when he came about to now call. That was the first time we heard about Fulanis. So they are not indigenes. And remember what I said about indigenes? Let's go back to the terminology. It says here, indigene is a person who belongs to the group of people who were the original inhabitants of a particular place and who therefore claim to be its rightful owners. So on that basis, it cannot be said in any way, shape, or form that the Fulanis are indigenous to Nigeria. The first time we heard about the Fulanis was the 19th century. That is an undisputed fact. So that we need to put before everybody.
You're talking about the 18th or the 19th. I think they came in the latter part of the 1700s, right? Which is kind of
1700, yes.
Yeah, 1700s.
But according to what they even put on Google, because I know they're changing that all the time, they said 19th century. Let us even give them that. Let's even give them that. Let's give them, because I'm not saying this myself alone. I'm just going by what they said here. But you're right. So let's say 17th, let's say 18th. But one thing is for sure, that we, the indigenous people, have been there far longer before any Fulani came to our shores. And the Fulanis come from, I keep reminding everybody, the map is there. It says Futajalon. That's what you see on the screen. Those of you who are watching on Facebook right now, that's where they come from. That's circle area. So they migrated, but that does not make them indigenous. They are not indigenous to our parts, period. We need to just put that to bed right there. Now, the next thing is, we were talking about citizenship and how they got into the Constitution. Now, there is something that I'm going to read to you here. Jane, I think it's something you sent to me earlier on. Is that correct as well? Section 25 of the Nigerian Constitution, yeah?
Right, so, right. There is the concept, the Section 25 of
right, that's correct. I've got it here. Yeah. So right. I'm going to quickly just do something. I want to get the one that's also within the book, but I'll read this one.
Yeah, I just want to be sure that you have all the words in that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna get it. I've got another place I can get it because it's shielded somewhere, but I can get it up quickly in another way, so that will be no problem at all. It will come up in just a second now. I'm just working on it. So let's bring that back up here. 1 second. Paste. So now we put that there. So we go to 25 of the Constitution, and you will understand now where the trickery is. So it's very important for all of us to know, without a shadow of a doubt. We've now given you the definition of an indigene. The Fulanis simply do not qualify. They simply do not qualify. And that is really important for us to emphasize. Now, okay, so now it says section, and we're going to section 25 now. Every Nigerian born in Nigeria before the date of independence, either whose parents or any of whose grandparents belong to a community indigenous to Nigeria. So that's A. So 25A. I'm going to read that again slowly. Every person in Nigeria born before the date of independence, either of whose parents or any of whose grandparents belongs to or belong to a community indigenous to Nigeria. That's A. Provided that a person shall not become a citizen of Nigeria by virtue of this section if neither of his parents nor any of his grandparents was born in Nigeria. So that's A. B. Every person born in Nigeria after the date of independence, i.e. 1960, either of whose parents or any of whose grandparents is a citizen of Nigeria. And, okay, so give an example now. Somebody who is a Fulani, if one of their parents was a Hausa, then they can claim, but only in that instance. That doesn't mean that all Fulanis are. Very, very important point to make at that point. Do you agree with me, Jane? Do you agree with what I'm saying there?
Well, yes, to some extent, I would say that is correct. Is that okay. But the point is, I mean, if they
I'm just trying to even.
Right. So if they have household heritage,
yes, right? If they had any, then they may be, but they have to establish that. The point is that they have to have an indigenous parent in that mix, however that mix is, and if they are not, they should not. So the idea of people coming in, for example, when Bala Mohammed says for the people to come in, and suddenly they're allowed to be Nigerians, that is not indigenous in any way, shape, or form. That's what I'm trying to get at. So,
and it's not citizenship either.
Exactly. So every person.
Citizenship it also has its own requirements. So we can, simply say they're neither indigenous.
They're not.
Nor are they citizens if they're not.
Yeah. Exactly. So that's is a quick synopsis of what is really going on. I wanted to just touch on that. Now let me just look at the thing that you sent me, and I'm going to read that again. So so individuals, I'm going to read the section. I couldn't see all of that, but I think it's the same thing of what I said here. But I'm going to read the lower section. Individuals that are born in the territory of Nigeria after 1st of October 1960 that have at least a parent or grandparent who belong to a community indigenous to the geographical location known as Nigeria. Communities indigenous to Nigeria include Yoruba. Now they say Hausa/Fulani. That's a question mark right there. Igbo, Kanuri, Eric, Urobo, Kanuri, Eric, Ibibio, Icherikiri, and many others.
Yeah, because if we say, in that definition, If we say that they are houses, but then, then they married a Fulani person, right? They say that, well, that's a small number. That's a very small number. That's not
exactly the point. Exactly. That is exactly the point that we need to really emphasize. It is a small number. Now, what the Fulanis are trying to do, if you notice that they're changing they are making amendments to the Constitution, particularly that number 36. You remind me what that number 36 said. It talks about the fact that if you are I'll get the word. Let me get the exact word. But the point is they are trying to amend the Constitution to favor the Fulanis that are not of Nigeria, that don't have any parentage of Nigeria parentage. And that is the point. That is why we have to be really, really aware of what is going on. The amendments they make both at the state level and at the national level are a danger. They are a threat to our existence, our existential survival as a people in our own land. And we are raising the alarm as we're speaking. We are calling out to everybody. Those of you who are in politics, believe you me, if you think this is not going to affect you, you've got another thing coming. And we are emphasizing time and time again, and we will not relent, that there is an existential threat to the indigenous people, all the indigenous people that are within contraption Nigeria. There is an existential threat. If we do not, in Ibadan, for example, we have now had one of the Seriki who is now sitting in meetings with the Yoruba Obas in Ibadan. The same Oba if we had an Oba that was among the Yorubas in the north, he would not even be allowed to go down to the emir, talk less of sitting in a meeting. And this is a way of really taking over our land. And the amendment specifically would mean that they would be able to establish colonies of Fulanis in every single state, bar none in the south. Are you following me? I hope we all understand. This is a serious threat to our existence as a people, as Igbos, as Middle Belt, as Ishakiris, as all Southerners. We are under threat. Not only are they coming with guns and attacking us and bringing in the terrorists and allowing them to come in, but they are also using amendments within that fraudulent AKA 24, also known as Decree 24, promulgated Decree number 24 of 1999. They are using that to now completely take our land over. And we cannot stand still. We cannot stand and be quiet. We need to do something collectively. And I am calling on everybody, be it if you are in Ninas, be it if you are Biafra, be it if you are Igbo, whatever you want to call yourself, if you're a Southerner, this is a threat. There is something more I want to add to this. Not only are they having guns, but the minute these people are able to speak our language, once they say they utter a word of your language, of your indigenous language, the amendment allows them to be known as coming from that area. I hope we all understand. This is, look, put everything, all your disagreements that you may have as Southerners among yourselves, put it to one side. Because if we do not deal with this, what will happen is now they've given the people from Mali, from Guinea, from all over, they will come in and they will get a right. They will be given citizenship by dint of the fact that they know one word or two.
And why? Do you have that video, the Bauchi governor video?
Let's have a look. Yes, I don't know if I can. I have it, but I tried to share, but I cannot go into the share. I think it's been disabled. I'm not quite sure. So
okay.
I couldn't go into it.
Let's see.
So, but you see if you can play your end. I have it.
Going to have multiple. Yeah, go ahead and keep talking. Let me see.
So now the Bauchi governor Bala Mohammed stated that a Fulani man can be a Bayelsan because he speaks Bayelsan. But can a Bayelsan be a Fulani? I ask you.
Thank you.
Can a Bayelsan? Can he be a Fulani? Can a Yoruba man be a Fulani? Can an Igbo man be a Fulani? Because Governor Bala Mohammed, with his own mouth, said a Fulani man from the hills of Cameroon or whatever, Jalon, Guinea, wherever he comes from, when he comes in, they're
all over Africa.
All over Africa. They can be, they are taking them in. And he said the words he said were, we will accommodate them.
We are already accommodating
them. Thank you. And what you see, when they say they're accommodating, that means the government has provided 80% budget of the budget needed for these people to come in without any consultation with we the people. And yet we have no, in a nation, let me give you how bad this is. We need 80,000 megawatts of electricity. The government cannot provide funds for that. But they can provide funds to allow Fulanis to come from all over Africa and take our land. And become indigenous people to take our land. So this is a real concern. We'll try and get the video up at some point. And at any point, we can bring that video on live once we get it up and running. But I want us to know that this issue about indigenes is central to our right, our claim to go in for self-determination. Because the people who are imposing one Nigeria on us, they are non-indigenous. They are non-indigenous. Minister of Education, Fulani. Customs, Fulani. Army, Fulani. Air Force, Fulani. Minister of Information, Fulani. Oh, look, wherever you go, Port Authority, Fulani. These are the, okay, so the video is going to come up. So we need to really, the video is coming up now. Can you make it a full screen like you?
Go ahead. I'm trying to make sure that I can get it.
So listen, what we are saying, the Fulanis are not indigenous. Now the percentage that would have married into the Fulani, into households would be small. Here we go. Mr.
Bala Mohammed, the governor of Bauchi State. Thank you for coming on this morning.
Can you hear the?
We can hear it. We can hear it. Yes.
National livestock transformation. We understand, yes, NEC decided upon it. They came to that decision. They agreed among themselves. The modality is how it needs to work. But help us understand this. First of all, has your state, you're not one of the pilots.
No, we are not one of the pilots. But having said that, we are that part of the savannah in Nigeria. And of course, we have most of the pastoralists in our state. We indicated our intention or our interest in the program because we believe some of the mistrust and suspicion surrounding the very nice program could be assuaged. And of course, we will participate in a manner that will bring the best in terms of global best practice. We are engaging the Netherlands and other countries to come and help us do this in a manner that at least it will boost our economy. We have so many reserve land and we have so many forests that are not in use. Some of them are being used by criminals, hooligans, and charlatans, where some aspect of criminality has been provided by that forest that is called Lamembora Forest and the Ankara precincts. So outside the agitation or advocacy of the environmentalists and those that are more concerned with the fauna and flora, we'll be able to provide a salutary effect to the country because we have over 3,000 square kilometers of land that is in the savannah in a lush vegetation that can be used for this kind of program, even to serve the nation. And while we are doing it as the federal government has conceived it, we want it to be private sector driven and we will bring those who are more familiar with it.
Okay, if you say, because I mean, everybody, we want to see that these killings end and there's peace and then people go about their businesses peacefully. Everybody wants to see that. But when you say that you want it to be private sector led, we understand that the government is going to provide 80% of the funding, the state to provide 20% and then provide the land.
Yeah.
How is that going to be private sector?
The government not
did you hear that?
For that purpose up to this moment, but we don't know since we have not been admitted into the program. But certainly we have been working very hard to see that because our people are mostly transhumans and that we have this vision to create an economic nucleus around livestock and of course all the value chain that we can get around livestock, the blood, the horn, the skin, and of course we will try more to cultivate threaten our people, while at the same time bringing the Fulanis in one fold and trying to arrest their traditional practice of moving from one place to the other. And that is very big and uphill task. But I think we can communicate with them more, because to them they don't have borders from Cameroon to Nigeria.
But that's the thing, Excellency. How do we ensure that those who will be participating in this federal government largely funded program will be Nigerians?
In terms of the funding?
No, in terms of the operations. This is bringing Fulani together.
The issue of misconception, I think there is a lot of mistrust and misconception with regards to the Fulani man. The Fulani man is a global or an African person. He moves from the Gambia, from Senegal.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing.
He's just a Fulani man.
It's not funny.
As a person, I may have my relations in the Cameroon, but they're also Fulani men. I have relations because from the maternal side, I'm a Fulani man. And that's why we want to educate people. A Fulani man sees himself as a Bayelsa, as somebody coming from the Niger Delta, because he speaks the Niger Delta language, which you and I don't. And of course, we would have to just take this as part of our
just take this.
We have to.
Just take it.
And that we cannot just close the border and say the Fulani man is just a Nigerian or this. No. In most cases, the crises are precipitated by those outside Nigeria.
Fulanis outside Nigeria.
It is not the Fulani man within Nigeria that causes it. It is that culture of getting revenge, which is embedded in the tradition of the Fulani man. It attracts appraisal from all over the place.
If I understand, does that mean that those Fulani men who are maybe domiciled in other countries who move around, they can come into the country and this plan will accommodate them as well?
Yes, that's what we want to do. But it has to be done through sensitization. Telling them you have to buy in the project.
They're going to beg them to come take our money.
Yeah. Crazy. Crazy.
The whole system of transhumance or pastoralism is criminalized. Criminalization of pastoralism is the problem that we have with this project. And it requires people with passion who understand them and who they believe in, people like us from that part of the country, to say, yes, we have this. Because today, there is no limit to the accusation that this and that has happened and it is the Fulani man who caused it. There is no tribe that is not, that you don't have this criminality in, but certainly the way and manner with it is really exacerbating the crisis and the problems.
Would there be any form of documentation of all the people that will be,
so we are taking that, oh yes, that is going to give Nigeria the opportunity to really have the best in terms of documentation in the demographics, because as I said, the Fulani man settles anywhere he can.
Okay.
Now
let's unpack that by way of what he's actually saying, right? He's actually here saying that all Fulani, all of them, are Nigerian citizens, and they deserve to be given free land and 100% money to settle in Nigeria. Now, we have 90 million people that are starving in Nigeria. And this interview was in 2019, so you can imagine how much money they've spent. And they are begging Fulanis from around Africa to come and settle in Nigeria, get free land, and get 100%. What Southern, Middle Belt, Hausa farmer has gotten this kind of a deal? And they're indigenous to Nigeria. So, but we just want you guys to really pay attention to what's going on, okay? Because when you see in the Constitution, an indigene has been kind of changed a bit, and then in the amendments, they are now moving on to state. Exactly. Now they want to put colonies, Fulani colonies.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this pastoral Fulanis. They have no land. They were given grazing rights, does not give you any land, and it does not make you ancestral to the land. So I think we can establish here that what we're talking about is that they're not indigenous to the land. They cannot be citizens, right? Because his people in the Cameroon and the ones in the Gambia and the ones in Ghana, wherever they are, they're calling all of them to come to Nigeria. And we all know that there's a certain purpose for that, right? Is to change the demographics. And we've seen those video over and over, and we'll take a look at that towards the end. But let's kind of move on to the next thing that we want to talk about, right?
Yeah.
Is that, okay, now we've talked about the fact that, what's an indigene. So now we want to talk about what is self-rule. And we'll go through this quickly so that we can meet our time. What is self-rule? What is self-determination? And please, we've got Prof. Enyeribe. You can definitely join the conversation. Ngozi is here. I'll do your on as well. Any of you can join the conversation. What is self-determination? Let's talk about it. Like everyone is clamoring. We want self-determination. We want self-determination. What does that mean? Well, when you look at the definition of self-determination, self-governance, so governing yourself, there's certain things that have to be in place, right? One of the things is that you have the right to determine who your leader is, your president is. You have the right to determine what you do with your assets that is on your land. You own your land, and you determine what happens to the assets that are on your land, right? You have, your own government, you have your own autonomy. And, to put it into perspective, if you look at Nigeria in 1960, what our forefathers agreed to was a Nigeria that would be housing nations, and those nations were called regions, right? Because they were self-governing, they were autonomous, they had control of their assets, right? They had control of their revenues and contributed a small amount to the center. The center was not meant to be the all-consuming, it was a small center, while each of the regions / nations controlled what happened to them. Okay, so that's what self-governing themselves mean, right? But then when we look into what's going on in Nigeria, in unitary Nigeria, right? Because we went from military, and then they took Military Decree 24 and put it in as the Constitution of Nigeria, which is fraudulent because we did not agree to it. But as we are seeing, under that, it took away self-governance, because everything was now pulled into, quote unquote, the federal government. But how can you have a federation when there are no nations, right? Nigeria is a federation with no nations, right? The states are not autonomous, right?
Yeah,
it's nothing that is autonomous in Nigeria. So when we talk about self-governance, and we look at what the situation is with the Eastern region, the Western region, the Midwest region, and then the other regions, including the Middle Belt that was supposed to be a part of that, we can effectively say that things are not the way they're supposed to be. So, Prof, I see that you've unmuted yourself. Do you want to join this conversation here as to what self-governance really means? And then we'll have a chat as to, is that what's going on in Nigeria? Do we have self-governance of the indigenous people, the indigenous nations in Nigeria? And then after that, Ngozi, you can speak, please. Go ahead, Prof.
Good evening, everybody.
Okay, good evening. Good evening, Professor.
There are many perspectives. First of all, let me jump back to citizenship and the status of indigene.
Recording in progress.
And has been a misunderstanding. Futajalon has been marked as a place where the Fulanis originated. Actually, till today, history has not been able to say they came from there, but we know that they are spread all over West Africa to the Nile. And the section that ventured into Nigeria might have originated from Futajalon. But you see, the problem was you can divide them into two. A group, a small group, was smart enough to use the penis as a weapon, and in the course of jihad, they got over the women in the Hausa area, and according to the Islamic religion, the type of Islamic religion they are practicing, the children that came out of such rape and everything were Muslims, and they were called Fulanis. And you have another group of Fulanis who weren't interested in this. They had their cattle and they were moving from place to place. And the moment you are moving from place to place, you cannot claim to be a member of the indigenous population where you have settled. That's number one. Number two, various Nigerian military presidents have tried to stop this movement from one place to the other because it has been a lot of economic problem. Number one, the moment you take the cattle to grazing area, they finish up whatever grain they find. There is no attempt to reforestate. So they are a burden and they're increasing desertification, and it goes at a very fast rate. The same problem we also have in Kenya, where you have also Fulanese. But I'm not saying that they alone are responsible for it, but it's just the mechanism of impoverishing the land and making it economically and degrading it economically. Good. Now, having said that, since these people have been moving, and those of them that settled did that through mixing of their ethnic group with the Hausas in the north, I don't know if it makes them automatically Nigerians. I don't think so. It had to be defined. And another thing is, we forget that there was an agreement between the colonial powers at the time, because the time they were moving into the northern part of Nigeria, the Hausa area, it was in competition with the time of the trade companies that want to annex or want to conquer Nigeria and bring it under the crown in England. So whatever agreement that was reached that time is for me not binding for any indigene of that area. Now, what we talk about, what happens later, there's never been a consensus, except that those of them who really got settled in the indigenous areas where Nigerians live, like the Hausas, it was made possible for them to become the rulers. So the people, because they had the guns and they were later supported by the imperial power from Britain, the indigenes didn't actually have any option against them.
Right. So, but I think one of the things that you're agreeing is the fact that they did not originate. We can say for a fact it did not originate from Nigeria.
That's what I said at the beginning.
And the first time, as Aya said, is that we found them in the late 1700s, early 1800s coming to Nigeria. So you can't really say that they were on the land. I mean, they came much later than, the other tribes that are in Nigeria. And the number that we're talking about, that rather, quote unquote, House of Fulanese, which is, the way that they describe it and trying to get themselves into, if they put in it as Hausa or Fulani. No, there's no Fulani that is ancestral to the land. And now, so I'll let some other people talk. Ngozi, what do you say about, this self-governance that we're talking about, or citizenship, or indigenous, because we have to kind of move on. But any comments on that? Because this is really serious, because we've got issues that are coming up in the amendments. They want to change the definition of citizen. They want to change the definition of state indigenes, and they want to bring colonies into every state in Nigeria just for Fulanis. Just for Fulanese. I don't see the same thing happening for Yorubas, because the Yorubas around Africa, they are not being invited in and given money. The Igbos around Africa, that's not happening. No. There are other tribes in Nigeria who are indigenous to Nigeria who have, who might have migrated elsewhere, right? But they're not getting the same treatment. So what exactly is going on? So, Ngozi, any comments before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody. And I thank the organizers of this meeting. Thank you so much, Jane, for the opportunity. Are
you able to go on video?
Oh, my head. I was out and about.
Okay.
Could be hard, but could be on video in the next, but not.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. So, if you can see my face a little, can you see my face? I mean, at that place.
It's fine. It's okay. That's fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, that's fine. So, one area that I really want to address this issue from is, I just want everybody on this line to know that for Nigeria to be a member of the OIC, which is the Islamic organization for the group that Buhari just gave I know he gave Afghanistan $1 million, and some people don't just even know the genesis of how that come. For Nigeria to be a member of OIC, one of the criteria for a country or leadership to be a member of OIC is, you're going to sign it, you must overwhelmingly support the agenda for Islamization.
Absolutely.
It is one of the major conditions to be a member country of OIC. When Nigeria leaders signed up to be members of the OIC, those conditions were clearly spelled out to promote Islam all over the world. Yeah. And when I say promote Islam, it's not just mere 20, 30%, 40% promotion. It's at least over 75% promotion of Islamization. That is one of the conditions to be a member of OIC, which Nigeria is.
Yeah.
So some of the things some of us are talking about now, discussing about, a lot of people have seen that long time ago. The leaders of Nigeria, which is mostly Fulanese, have taken Nigeria to that point where that thing they signed, they must continue to maintain and prosper and flourish that. Regardless of what they come back to Nigeria and tell the House of Rep members, or what they come back to Nigeria to tell other Nigerians, some know, majority may not know. But the point is that, but the point is that some people, those leaders, it doesn't have to be president of a country, those that really know where Nigeria is heading to and what these Fulanese have gotten Nigeria going into, has known that there is no turning back. They will continue to propagate agendas, programs to make sure that these other Islams are settled all over the world, all over Nigeria. So,
all over West Africa.
All over West Africa, even abroad, all over. Yes, they're promoting those agenda. So it is left for the indigenes, as we're saying right now, to find ways that is okay for them to protect their land, to protect their environment.
And their freedom.
Their freedom. How each group of Nigerians go about that should be their own thought out agenda, how they want to map it out. But I believe that in all parts of Nigeria, there are leaders that already know about this, and they are talking about this, and they are discussing ways to make sure that the Fulani agenda doesn't happen in Nigeria. So I strongly believe eventually that when the Southerners, Middle Belt, even some houses come together.
Well, the houses, yeah, absolutely, the houses. Absolutely.
Yes, come together and resist. The word in Nigeria right now is resistance. As far as those programs and projects is already in full swing. Buhari can never stop that. Nobody. The leaders, they can't do anything. Those that know, they can all they can say, okay, let's support it and see where
let me ask this question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why can't Nigeria be pulled out of the Organization of Islamic Countries when it is supposed to be a non-secular country? And why is Sharia law in the northern states?
Again,
like we need to, shouldn't we be talking about the fact that Nigeria must be pulled out because they're Christians in Nigeria? There are those who have their own traditional religions. Why are we in OIC?
Okay, so these things have been, Nigerians have been talking about this thing for the past maybe 10, 20 years. I'm telling you.
So what are the politicians from the South doing? The Middle Belt of the South, what are they doing about it?
Again, 98% of Nigerian politicians, they all have the same agenda. Let me tell you one thing. These issues have been talked about. These issues have been discussed. Do you know how many Nigerian military has been murdered by the Fulani just because they present opposite views to what is going on in Nigeria? There has been a systemic overthrow of Nigeria by the Fulanis for the past, let me say, 60, 70 years. Absolutely. That systemic overthrow cannot just happen overnight and somebody just came up and said, oh, I want this changed. Because the person that is in charge of, like somebody said earlier here, the military, the defense, the communication, everywhere, is the same cartel. They're all over. At the end of the day, the buck stops at the end of either the minister, the governor. So there's only so much that opposing views can do. So I believe at the end of the day, like I said, each region must find ways to start implementing, start talking, doing things that will make them protect their region. I think the way where Nigeria is now, we are going more into action. So, I mean, discussing is okay, but
we do need to. I think one of the things that's important is that the masses don't really understand what's going on. And so that's why it's important for us to educate them, because once the masses actually understand what's going on, especially the fact that, we're talking about the OIC, even the multinational joint team, is all Fulani, it's all Islamic nations. There are no Christian nations in there. And we're expecting them to combat the jihadists.
Yeah, you're right. Education is very important, Jill, like you said. Education is good. But again, you have to also look at the way Nigeria is made up. You have almost a large 30-40% of Nigerians that are Christians. It is what they can agree to sleep in the church all day and tell you, oh, whatever, let us, God will take control. When you say some people are down, they'll tell you God will take control. You go to the Muslim community, somebody is creating poverty all over, they will tell you it's Allah ordained. Again, that education is going on, and I'm telling you, it is going on. People are hearing, people are seeing, but the leaders that we have that have orchestrated this destruction, and they continue to bring projects that will make sure the masses does not rise. They don't know. They will continue to do those things. So at the end of the day, the only language that I strongly believe the Fulani is here is the same language. And again, Nigerian politicians, most of them, the only language they understand is violence. Because what they do, they are violently killing innocent Nigerians, either by starvation, by poverty, like not going to school.
Poverty, yeah.
Economically,
economically,
all of it.
Exactly, no health, no electricity.
Yeah.
So they continuously, when people make noise, they will flash like 30,000 to them, make some noise, give them motorbikes, dash some of them car, and they go back have their meetings, having their parties, and discussing ways to continue the impoverishment. So so what is going to happen, and until They meet what they know because they don't. I'm telling you, when NSAS happened, people didn't know. But I think the next, if Nigeria survive 2023, then but people know.
Okay. Thank you so much. If we can kind of focus on the self-determination we're talking about, right? We talked about the fact that they have to have charge of their assets, but in that 1999 Constitution, which is AKA Military Decree 24. I want to make sure that people understand that that's not a real constitution. It has taken all the assets of all the indigenous people and put it in the federal government, another 68 item exclusion list, and then another 30 semi-exclusion list.
Exactly.
So, and the other thing that they have done is like the oil belongs to Nigeria, but Zamfara gold
belongs to
controlled by the Fulani in the north belongs to Zamfara. Mm-hmm. These are things that we're seeing. So, having charge of our assets. In addition to that, and obviously everybody's aware of the fact that there are no refineries in the south where there is the oil, but there's a refinery in Kaduna, and they've made an agreement with the Niger Republic. Oil is in the south, but there's no refinery. Right? Yeah. Okay. And then we have in the Constitution this federation account. This is how money is divided that's coming from the assets. And I know we've talked about this before, but it bears repeating because we're talking about, do we have self, governance, in those indigenous people. And that federation account, it has 3 criteria for divvying up the assets, the revenue that comes from it. One is land size. I think everyone could make that leap. You can see the size in the far north, where that is Fulani dominated, and part of the middle belt too, because the far north also has domination into half of the middle belt, right? So land size, okay, so that favors them. Local government areas. We've talked about this before.
We have.
Right?
We've talked about that.
And we talked about Lagos started with 20, Kano started with 20. Now, Lagos still has 20, but Kano and Jigawa, which used to be the old Kano, now has 71. So Lagos is still at 20. Kano and Jigawa are at 71. And that's one of the criteria, local government areas. Yeah. Then the last one that they use is population. Like you guys have seen the census, right? The census puts all the numbers up north. So basically, the assets that belong in the middle belt to the south is being divided so that the north, all the criteria favors those that don't own the assets. Now they say that, when someone tells you, okay, we're speaking to the international community now. When someone tells you that the people made a decision to give up their assets and get nothing in return and have other people benefit from their assets, that's a very stupid people. And we know Nigerians are not stupid. I'm talking about indigenous Nigerians, right? We are one of the smartest people on this planet. And there's no way that without coercion and without fraud, that we would have agreed to such a thing. And we didn't, which is what the individual nations are talking about. But these are things for us to understand, right? So we talked about citizenship and indigenes. We're now talking about if we have self-rule. Now let's talk about, and we started talking a little bit about that. Who is actually ruling Nigeria? I know we talked about that a little bit, right? So Ayo or I see Jupe has joined us. If you want to join the conversation about this next topic, is who has been ruling Nigeria? Do we have a conversation about that?
I'll join in. For me, it is clear the people who has been ruling that place are none other than Fulanis by way of oppression, suppression, coercion, and the coups, barring the first coup, has been a way to continue to press the reset button to promote their agenda of the suppression of the South and to continue the draining of the resources, the land, the quota system, everything. Just look at all of the key positions. They are always in the hands of the Fulani in terms of security, in terms of the resources. NNPC, the people who are controlling NNPC.
Top 20.
Exactly. 20. Look at the refineries.
What about the ownership? Ownership of oil wells, right?
Exactly. So, when people talk about Dangote, people don't understand that he's actually a guy that is being used as a way to funnel and control, that is the guy that is the linchpin
on the people, right? Let's talk about what has happened to the price of cement in Nigeria. Once they took it away from where it was being produced and gave it to Dangote as a monopoly.
Complete
monopoly. Okay. Now, what has happened to the price of cement in Nigeria?
It's gone through the roof.
But outside of Nigeria,
it's cheaper.
Thank you.
You're better off importing cement.
Exactly.
Than actually using the one that we locally produce because they artificially inflated the price to suppress us.
Because there was Benue Cement, right? That was run by the Benue state. That got closed down and given to Dangote. And now that factory is abandoned. Just like the refinery in the South is abandoned. And everything is pushing up to the people that don't own the assets, right? So when we talk about who's ruling Nigeria, when you go back and look at, whether it's the military or whether you look at what's in place currently and the fact that Buhari is a Fulani, right? And, you really start to ask the question about, when are the indigenes going to actually, have some self-governance? Stephen, you're welcome. You can join us in the conversation.
So I'm going to pull back. So you go ahead. Please let others join in the conversation. So
yes, Stephen, go ahead and unmute.
Thank you. I just heard you say now that something has been abandoned. Are you saying something about the cement factory?
Yes, in Benue, because it has now gone to, it has now gone to Dangote.
Very well. They have been very, very sly and cunning, the Fulanis, in the way they manipulate the resources of the country. Because one example, you caught my attention when you said abandoned. I thought you were actually talking about the cement factory in Ogun.
Oh yes, that as well.
Before I left Nigeria 100 years ago, there used to be what was called the Ewekoro cement factory in Ogun State.
Yes.
That produced Nigeria cement. There is still raw deposits of limestone in there.
Yeah.
I just recently confirmed from an authoritative source that it's some super highway that leads to that Ewekoro plant now. With it's like an estate that is occupied by the Chinese. So yes, Ogun State
now.
So it's not abandoned. The same way that they've been stealthily mining gold in Oyo State.
Yes,
is the same way that they are now mining limestone secretly.
Wow.
The Chinese.
Wow.
Yes. Ewekoro is near Abeokuta.
Yes.
And gold, because there's gold in the Southwest, and we found out last year they have been mining it and catching it out of the country because we saw the planes. And yet Zamfara gold belongs to Zamfara, but South oil belongs to Nigeria.
Yes.
Right?
And the Oyo gold belongs to the Chinese.
Yes.
This is crazy.
Yes.
Oh man.
Yes. So I'm just trying to. We're talking about the assets, right? Because when you have self-rule, one of the things that you do have control over is your assets. And what we're talking about here is that we, the indigenous people in Nigeria, do not have control of their assets, right? And then we're also talking about the fact that not just that, but also in addition to that, their assets are being divided in such a way to their detriment. They're getting less value from their assets. And then on top of that, monopolies have been created for those that are in the Fulani, like Dangote, the richest man in the world, where 90 million people are starving to death, partly because his cement prices are so high. And it's not just cement, he's got rice and several other products where they have given him the monopoly.
Complete monopoly.
Given him the monopoly. Okay. So when we talk about who has been ruling Nigeria, Dupe, do you have that link that shows the ministries and who's on top of that ministries? I know we've shown that before.
Yeah.
One of the things.
Sorry, listen, I'm in the car. I'm driving.
Gotcha.
I'm not even at home, so you can see. Yeah, I just left.
Yeah, no worries. We'll take a look at it later.
Okay. All right.
Okay. So now we're talking about who's ruling Nigeria. We've got Buhari that was ruling Nigeria. Even when you go through the military period, take a look at who was ruling, right? I mean, we did have some people like Obasanjo, for instance, but we all know Obasanjo not supported the people, the indigenous Nigerians. He has not done so, and is still not doing so. I mean, I think we've established that. And then if we look at some of the other people, and other people can speak up, because I don't know if you want to talk about that, the fact that some of the people that we have been really stooges and haven't really done anything for the indigent. So in essence, you can't really say that they are, they are ruling for, the indigenous Nigerians. Ngozi, did you have something to talk about?
Oh, yeah, definitely. You're absolutely correct. It's not about what the Nigerian people want. Some of these areas you're really highlighting, like you said, our people need a lot of education. And it's not about the people. It is not about the people. If it is about the people and about the law and about the country, I can give you so many instances where it's not just about the people. It's just about that clique. It's about maintaining the status quo. And some of them are ready to kill all Nigerians as long as that status is maintained. It's not about the people. If it is about the people, let me give you an instance. About a few years ago, 2 years ago, the INEC in Nigeria, Independent National Election, the highest umpire of Nigeria election in Nigeria, the appeal court in Abuja told INEC unanimously in a court ruling to release 22 political parties that they wrongly deregistered. It was a unanimous ruling by the Nigeria Appeal Court in Abuja. Do you know what the INEC chairman did? Mahmoud refused to release those 22 political parties. You know why? Because they believe those 22 political parties coming up are mostly young Nigerian youths. And they could team up and make things harder for those status quo. Remember, they run from PDP to APC, APC to P is a norm. No big deal.
Exactly.
So the INEC chairman refused to follow the court order in Nigeria. He refused to release those parties. And that is one of the reasons why the Anambra election that was done, since when did Soludo won that election? Since I think October, November last year. The case is still at the tribunal till now. Soludo has not been sworn in as Anambra state governor because one or two of those people that was supposed to be in those 22 political parties that appeal court has given INEC order to release them, one of them wanted to contest, or two of them, and INEC refused to list them in the ballot. So it is not about the people. It is about maintaining and feeding the status quo. And they can do anything, even if it's destroying Nigeria, to make sure that those status quo retain the power. So it rests on Nigerian citizens to do what they need to do to make sure somebody got to listen by making sure we speak the same language that they understand. There are languages that certain people understand better. And when you try to speak like a civil person in a normal way, they don't understand that. So you got to speak.
You have to speak in the language they understand.
And that's the only I believe one of the strongest way to bring Nigeria back to sanity. Without that,
my sister, the only thing I will say is that I don't think we should, keeping Nigeria as a sanity is going to be a reality. I mean, because to be honest, Nigeria is already gone.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's going on with Saludo. To be fair, I don't think it has anything to do with that, because I think it's an off-season election, and I think it's supposed to be sworn in on the 17th. I'm getting that.
Yes, exactly.
But again, what we're trying to highlight here is that when you take a look at those that have been ruling Nigeria, whether once the fraudulent unitary Nigeria was put in place, right? Mm-hmm. Whether you go through the military or where we are currently, you will see that it hasn't been indigenous.
Yeah,
it has not been indigene that's been doing so.
No.
So you would have the non-indigenous people, and then the stooges of non-indigenous people is pretty much what's been going on in Nigeria, and that really hasn't changed. I mean, we looked at that amendment. We saw Ruga. Ruga has nothing to do with pasteurization. Ruga has everything to do with giving citizenship
to
non-indigenous people who are not even in Nigeria. They're calling them from around Africa
to come in.
Yes. And I see Idiago. You're welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to participate in this program.
Vigorous conversation.
I agree with everything that has been said so far, and I've been thinking. I would like maybe to talk more about solutions to these problems. Most of you have talked so much about what is happening, and I think we have not gotten more educated like today, because of what is happening. People are really feeling it. Even the masses, they are really feeling it. You see all of this massacre that is happening. Yeah, if it's not directly you, it could be your relative. It could be someone that you know. And irrespective of why it is happening, I mean, we have human hearts. So why don't we think about what actually are these guys really so smart in such a way that all of us in this country called Nigeria, from the middle belt to the south, are they so smart to outdo us like this completely that we cannot even do anything on our own? I used to get worried when I think about the number of the reps that we have all over the middle belts, the south. If they could team up, I think they could speak something different. And I mean, look at them. It's not as if they are so homogeneous like this. I mean, the Fulanis are not really so homogeneous like this in such a way that maybe they all over the West Africa, they are one. They may not be so homogeneous like this, but how is it that they like themselves like this? They treat themselves as one, and they work for the same agenda. And we here, I mean, like in the Middle Belt, I tell you, in the Middle Belt, you hardly go to a place and you think maybe, like, for example, I'm from Gombe. I mean, I relate very well with people in Plateau, people in Bauchi, Southern Borno, Southern Yobe. I relate very well. We speak, and I mean, we do things in a way that you cannot even differentiate who is this and who is that. What is it that is not really bringing us together in such a way that we can really speak in one voice, so that we can really get this kind of freedom that we desire, where there is rule of law, where there is justice, where there is freedom, where you can do things on your own land. You can cultivate whatever you want to cultivate without any problem. We are not even asking for anything too much. We are just asking for freedom, honestly. So
absolutely.
Why is it that I mean, I wonder. So let's discuss about this. And
thank you very much for that perspective. And the reason why that we are doing this, and this is kind of like an answer to your question. If you have a mass of people that don't understand what's going on, they cannot rise up. Knowledge is power, and power is freedom. Our people still don't know what is actually happening. That's why we're having these educational series. We do talk about, we usually have a takeaway as to the things that we need to do, right? But it is very important, because once people understand what's actually going on, they will rise, right? Because we're not just dealing, unfortunately, we're not just dealing with, the Fulanis. There's the British behind them. We know this, right? That's already been exposed. There's the British behind them. So it's not that, the Fulanis are so bright or anything of the nature, right? They've got, maybe not as, many bright people as we do, because, obviously Buhari has not done very well with leading the country, right? I mean, like the poorest marks, however, the masses need to understand, because then they would rise up. And that's why we keep talking about, like these videos that are very clear on what the agenda is. They need to see it in their languages, right? But this also tells them what's happening. You'll be amazed at the number of people, especially young people. Young people did not even know, because they removed that history from the schools. Yeah. They did not even know that we had nations. That those regions were nations, because they were not taught that. And that's a weapon to hold the
very much so
down. And so these educational series are vital. And I know that Stephen has been saying this, since he started coming on board. It's like, we need to have more people join in this, so that more people will actually get the knowledge that they need, so that they can rise up and defend what is theirs. Okay. And again, like I said, we do talk about the solutions. But let's go to the next item. Can Middle Belt to South governors make decisions for their people, right? And we can talk about open grazing, Ruga, and I also can talk about. I don't know if you guys recall when Southern governors got together, and the Northern governors said that they can't do that they can't make any decisions without them there. But the Northern governors meet on a frequent basis without Southern governors, and nobody says anything about that. So the Southern governors, on a rare occasion, now get together, and it's a problem. So let's talk about that. So can Middle Belt to South governors make decisions for their people? Let's talk about open grazing. Could they make a decision there? What about Ruga? Could they make a decision there? What about the Fulanis who are killing on a daily basis? What about protecting their people? Let's have a discussion about that.
I mean, yeah, great. Sorry.
No, I was going to say, if anyone wants to talk about that, because that's the next thing we want to talk about. Because we're trying to establish, right? Do the indigenous people actually have self-governance in Nigeria, true or false? And so we're asking this question so that we can be clear on what's actually going on in Nigeria.
I would like to say something briefly, and I just want to bring a case of the Macmillan case again. That is a very, very pertinent to what has been said here. You will all recall when Macmillan presented the issue of the Tiv people being displaced in their land. He attempted to raise it at the floor of the House of Representatives, Macmillan, just last year. Mm-hmm. And Ahmed Wase prevented him, saying that because the people that tabled the motion, who sponsored this motion, were thieves who are living abroad. Mm-hmm. And you just hear this sheer double standard. The thieves who are abroad brought concerns, because after all, the thieves who are abroad, they're the ones sending money to their people back home. So when the people are being chased from their land, surely they have a right to raise that concern. Ahmed Wase overruled it. The same Fulani government that is welcoming in Fulani from all over Africa is preventing people, indigenous people, though who are forced to leave their own country to go for a better life somewhere else and help their family, preventing them from tabling a motion. And you tell us we are one nation. That for me is a problem right there. Now I know Governor Otom is trying to do a few things, and I have to credit to him in trying to talk about at least about in terms of protecting yourself, defend yourself. Those are the kind of things we need to see more of the Middle Belt and Southern governors to do. Unfortunately, like you say, as soon as they're trying to start having meetings and discussions, the Fulani, the North says, no, you can't do that. No, we don't give you permission. It's like we have to go and seek permission for anything. And this is something that we must challenge. If the indigenous people, we have to reassert our own autonomy. We have to do that. And the best way is the history that we have about our the kingdoms that was in place and the greatness that was there before the Fulanis showed up on our soil. And we do that through the sharing of information, very much like we're doing now. Our people have always, our children have been led to believe that Nigeria has always been. And we need to dispel that falsehood. It is a falsehood. Nigeria was created by colonials in 1899. George Goldie was the guy who brought the Northern and Southern together and did all that. Before that, we had kingdoms. We had African kingdoms. We need to re-emphasize that. To empower, this knowledge is the trigger point that will get the people to begin to reassert themselves. Because right now, as Southerners, we are powerless in our own land. If we are
slaves, according to Akintoye says we're slaves in our own land.
Exactly, we're slaves in our own land. So I think we need to begin to challenge that narrative. We need to start asserting ourselves. The governors should do the bidding of the people. Now, unfortunately, the governors, again, they are puppets because from what I'm understanding, governors, senators, House of Reps, they have to go and get clearance to be allowed to be participate in any elections.
Absolutely. That's a great point,
So what are we talking about? Where is the autonomy?
We can't even select our own people.
Where is the autonomy?
Not even select their own people that will go for elections.
That is the absolute control on the situation. So yeah, I'll stop there. Please.
Okay, Stephen, go ahead.
Thank you, Jane. I just wanted to ask a question, and I hope somebody can help me. Is it about time that we start addressing the foreign complicity?
Yes.
The foreign complicity in the affairs of Nigeria, especially to the extent that foreign complicity poses a danger to the immediate realization of our self-determination efforts. A few minutes ago, while we were talking about who rules Nigeria, we unanimously agreed that the Fulanis do, unfortunately. But at the back of my mind, I'm asking myself, are they really ruling Nigeria, or are they ruling Nigeria as proxy for the foreign? Exactly.
Yes, as proxy.
For the foreign country or countries that are benefiting from the chaos.
Yes. Absolutely. I mean, one of the things, and it's not just in West Africa, right? One of the things that came out a few years ago is the role that what France has been doing to the Francophone countries, right?
Yeah.
They've been taking their revenue. They've been taking the bulk of the revenue from those countries. That's what's going to France to develop France. Yeah. And then they're lending the countries their own money at high interest. This is what France. It wasn't it a few years ago. Is it Americana that really blew the lid on that?
Yes.
So even though
and the silence
that have independence, right? Africa, especially Black Africa, is not independent because its wealth is what's being used to develop the first world countries who now have the audacity to call a shithole country.
Exactly.
It is. Yeah. You. If I may just chip in there a little bit. What you said there, June, is absolutely correct, and indeed that is the case. And like my elder said there, it is indeed a case of rulership, ruling by proxy, and we need to address that. But even in that situation, we all know that now. I do not want us, yes, we need to look at that side of things and focus on it at some point. But I think we need to look at things from a local point of view, particularly on ground. Our people.
Yes.
And you see, when the people take those actions, even the proxy will not have the power.
Right. Even the starving people will be motivated when they know that there is something else. Right?
Exactly.
Because a lot of those starving people actually think that the Fulanese come from Nigeria.
Exactly.
Jane,
and so they don't. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Yes. Thank you, Jane. And I just want to piggyback on what my brother said. AY, what he just said right now about starting locally. So let's look at, see, our problem is like a bear. The bear is huge, right? It's a gigantic animal, right? So that we have to slice up and then take piece by piece. Yes, it is true. Yes, yeah, exactly. So, we have to start at home. Charity begins at home. Indeed. Now, if we go back to what the point that you made earlier, Citizen Ewa, about our politicians and not having autonomy and not having their own even the ability to make independent decisions for the people that they represent. Yeah, that what we have, which is the unitary Nigeria, their hands are tied in multiple fronts, right? In multiple ways. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. One, they know us. Jean, bear with me for a second. Let me finish this point. Yeah, it's like they know us, right? They know the Fulanis, they know us, right? They know how to flash a few, crumbs in front of our money, right? Absolutely. To flash it in front of some of the greedy ones amongst us, right? And those ones will just go, bootlicking kind of thing. And then bootlicking, yes. And then you also have, their own corny ways of making, laws which they themselves do not observe when it comes to them being, obeying those laws. But then they are ready to use those laws, right, to apply it to our people, to our folks. Indeed. Right? Exactly. So it's like it's multiple fronts, right? That we're being attacked every way.
From all angles. From all
angles. Yes. So with that, right, we need to start from like the barest minimum, right? Which is where we are right now. But at the same time, our masses, because they are starving, and you know what it is, right? So we need to figure out a way that, aside from doing that education, also, looking for, for a way where we need to really engage them. And when I'm talking about engaging them, really, really engaging them, right? So that they can become sensitized to their situation, and then they will know, where to begin to start to liberate themselves. So I just want to put that out there. Thank you.
If I can interject?
Absolutely.
My brother Aldi, do you want to, thanks, Dr. Modukwe, do you want to say something, Aldi? Because I see you wanted to leave.
Yes, so go ahead, please.
Yeah, thank you, my brother, for allowing me to say something before I leave. Yeah, just as the last speaker said, I think we need to engage in creating awareness amongst our people, because sometimes I really feel bad that maybe is it greed, because we see people that are just stooges in the hands of the caliphate all over, even governors. For example, what is happening in Plateau States? He's not so bold to talk like our brother in Benue State. So is he not just a stooge in the hand of the caliphate? So things like this, and you see them all over. Look at our brother there in the South, Amechi. Maybe one should not be mentioning names, but look at all these things happening. They are all over. They are placed all over. So I don't know whether it's greed or lack of love for your own people. I don't know. So we need to really sensitize ourselves so that the masses will know who they are voting. People like this, we should not be bringing them into anything.
I think.
Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, my brother. Thank you, and thank you for your comments. And if you still want to, if you're still around, please do come. Continue to join us. And if you do want to leave, entirely understandable. And thank you so much for your suggestions. And we all appreciate it. And all of us here, we are all valuable. We are making valuable contributions to get to the promised land, which is our self-independence. So thank you so much for doing that.
Thank you
Jane,
very
over
much.
to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll do because it's important. The reason why we have a diverse group of people that come on here is to show the world that this isn't a Christian and Muslim situation. That's not the situation, and it's not an indigenous Nigeria situation either. It isn't, right? We have non-indigenous people, meaning non-ancestral, who are flooded into the country, taking away the land forcibly by killing people. We've got over 4 million displaced from their farm land to drive starvation, right? We've got over 400,000 killed already, and killings every day, right? So I want to make it clear that it's not about Muslims and Christians. There is a jihad going on, but there's also the Fulanis wanting to take over land that doesn't belong to them. And when you take a look at the Constitution of Nigeria, when you take a look at the amendment, when you take a look at the video, especially that video from Bauchi governor, it lays out their plans, right? And we will take a look at the information that in the amendments. So you can see how they have now grafted themselves in as citizens, all Fulani, all over Africa, and Nigerian citizens. And then we're going to take a look to see what they're trying to do in the amendments in just a little bit. Okay. So we are in a situation where our people need to understand what's going on, and our elected officials need to also understand what's going on and do the right thing. Because we saw that video a couple of weeks ago where the lady preacher was talking about reading the letter from the jihadists, saying that they're going to start with those politicians who are betraying their own people. Okay. And Majube, if you have that,
I'm just getting it.
AY.
Okay, I'm
you're
just getting
driving.
in now. No, I'm just getting in now.
Oh, okay. AY.
I'll get on my computer.
The Amado Bello statement in Yoruba, and I wanted you to read it today.
Yeah.
Because I think it's important for people to start hearing these things in their own language, especially those who are in the villages, so they understand what's going on. So if you can share that, but I'm not sure that you have that one that's translated. And that's part of what we have to do on the ground, right?
1 second.
Right? That's part of what we need to be doing on the ground, is actually putting these videos, putting these statements, especially the headlines, and we're going to look at actually what's going on in Nigeria right now, right? When we're talking about the presidency, et cetera, the next question that we're asking is, can a president come from the Middle Belt to the South? That's what's coming up. Let's take a look at what Amado Bello has to say, and then we'll go and talk about that, because I think that's going to be a very spirited discussion when we're talking about what's going on, right? So have you found that, AY?
I'm trying to locate it now, because I did it a few days ago, and I'm just gonna give me a minute. But like I said,
if you have the English version, you can go ahead and flash that up, and we can take a look at why AY is looking for the Yoruba version of that.
Okay,
but we need that in Igbo. So
yes, we do. We do.
We need it in Igbo. We need it in Pidgin. And we need to start getting it to the hands of the people on the ground, so they understand exactly what's going on, right? We need to translate these videos, right? Because it's important for our people to understand exactly what's going on, especially our young people as well, right?
Yeah.
Because once they understand what's going on, once they understand that there's a different way, there is the opportunity for a different way. When they actually know the truth about what's going on, then it makes it a lot easier. But do you have the Amado Bello statement that you can put up?
I have it. I'm just going to try and... Okay, go ahead.
I'm just turning on my... I'm just turning on my computer.
Oh, okay. So if you have...
1 second.
But I'm pulling that. Do you still need the, what was the other thing that you asked me?
Yeah, I think we showed the video, the Bauchi governor video.
Okay, I have that one too. Okay,
right.
Well.
And I think the other one that we wanted to, I have the other one that I'm going to show up, but if you have that too, the one where he's talking about the Fulanization agenda.
I'll get the Ahmadu Bello quote out in English, then within 2 hours and doing that, I can get the...
Yeah, okay, why don't you show that then, and then we can start with that, yeah. Oh, and then so, because we need to talk about, can a president come from the Middle Belt to the South? And we'll take a look at headlines around that, because I think that's going to be very shocking to people, because people are seeing these things, but we are so desensitized to all this news coming out that we're not even thinking about what it means, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's a conversation that we really need to have.
Beg your pardon, my system is somewhat slowing up at the minute, and I'm just trying to close off as many things as possible, because it looks like I've really hit the limit. So, but was it this one? No. Okay. Right. Just give me a minute. So, but I mean, the Ahmadu Bello one, it talks about the anyway, I'll read it out when I get it. I'm sorry. Modupe, can you get that whilst I'm doing this? It says the new nation called Nigeria should be our grandfather's estate. We should use the North as willing tools and the South as conquered territory. And we will never let them have, rule over us, and never let them have control over their own destiny, their own future. Some words to that effect. But let me try and just, I got some, the system is slowing up somewhat, so I can't get it out as I would normally. So
okay, so we can just go ahead and start a conversation around, can a president come from Middle Belt to South? And I'm going to put up a few headlines. I'm going to share a few headlines so that we can, kick off the discussion. Okay, let me share some headlines real quick, to kind of set the stage. Zone presidency to South. Afenifere, others beg parties.
I have an issue with them begging. I have a big concern
again, we'll talk about why this is necessary, right? Why this is necessary. Because what we're trying to do is to look at what's actually going on and ask the question around, why is it necessary, right? Why is it necessary? Why do they have to beg, right? Okay. And then let's take a look at another headline. I'm going to share a couple of these, again, just to set the stage, right? We need to set the stage so that we can have this discussion, right? Okay, how about this one? Northern elders meet, reject Southern governor's position on 2023 election. And it says, Northern Elders Forum, which is mainly Fulanese, has rejected the position of the Southern governors that the 2023 elections, the 2023 presidency should be zoned to the southern part of the country.
They have prerogative, the Northern Elders. And if you look at that, just the fact that they say Northern Elders is an alarm bell, it should be an alarm bell for us all. Because again, that means it's the Fulanization agenda. Because the majority of the Northern Elders will be Fulanese, focusing on Fulani agenda. And this
Northern Elders reject power shift to the South, insist the North will continue in 2023. So, question, can a president come from Middle Belt to South without the consent of the Fulani Controlled North?
Yeah.
And again, it's actually the Fulani Controlled Nigeria, if we're being honest with ourselves. So, I'm opening that up to discussion. Ngozi, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jen. Again, I think that information, we've seen it several times. And then we've seen, like you pointed out, the Southern government some time ago met, they had a meeting, and they insist on power shift to the South. If not, they will not be part of the 2023 election. And then eventually, some of the Southern governors that were at that meeting that agreed to that, they've been one by one.
Yep.
And now the Northern elders are saying no power shift. Let me just, again, it's not as if sometimes I talk hyperbolically, because some of these things going on right now, most of us already know it. And when somebody here said, oh, what is the solution? I expected to say, what is the solution? Because it's like we all know the problem already. What is the solution to Nigeria's problem? When you present one of the things that was presented in the 1999 constitutional reform they just did, they talk about restructure. That was, that bill did not pass. Majority of them rejected that. And again, you cannot, personally, you can't blame some of the southern, northern, middle belt members of the House, because there have been a systemic approach to really make sure that this change of leadership in Nigeria does not happen by either the number of censors, the number of people that we are taking from the northern part of Nigeria, from the northwest, northeast, north central. They make that number,
yes,
and they put it there in Nigeria legislature to make it hard to change anything in that constitution without Fulani approval. So you now start to ask why. The question, I think, what is the solution? As far as the northern chiefs, northern elders, Buhari and co say, there'll be no power shift. That is very clear. There'll be bloodbath than for them to really allow that move to happen. So what is the solution? That is what I think, what are the whole Nigeria, the rest of, what are we, 2023 is here. What are we going to do? Because they're not stopping in the plan. They still want to hold on to.
Yeah. But our people, right? If the masses are sensitized to this, are they not going to go to the governor's house and ask in Igbo? They'll say, "What are you doing?" Right? And in Yoruba, what's that in Yoruba? Ayo, AY.
Yes. Say that again, please. Sorry.
Where they're going to the governors and asking them what are they doing about the fact that we cannot have a southern presidency, and the North is rejecting it. The president is rejecting it. The parties are rejecting it.
So what they will say is, so we're asking, what are we going to do about this? But that's not what we need to do. We like I said, we need to take action.
But that's action, right? If the people rise up and go to their elected officials.
Yes.
And say, you better do this. You better stand with your people.
Yeah. Right? Okay. Yes. Something like that. You have to.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Ngozi. Go ahead.
Let me quickly answer that question quickly, because I know from my own side of Nigeria, there's this group that is called the Ohanese Ndibo. That Ohanese is seen as
right.
the people that are supposed to, in quotes, they are not though, supposed to represent the voice of the Igbos.
Yes.
So before the governorship election, the Ohanese group met with, probably they went to talk with the Fulanese, their masters, and their masters told them, let them go ahead and make sure the Anambra State election happens, and after that they will release Nnamdi Kanu, or they will grant him amnesty, something to that effect. That when you say who do we ask, that those people, the Ohanese Ndibo, which is supposed to be the umbrella organization of leadership in Igbo land, as of now, the majority of the Igbos have passed a vote of no confidence on the Ohanese. We can't trust the leaders because the leaders still are subservient to the Fulanese. It's not just in the Igbo, even in the West, in the Middle Belt.
Absolutely.
Those leaders we are waiting for. I'm not even talking about House of Representatives or House of Senate. Those are just gone. When you say a group is gone, they are gone. There's nothing they just need to organize one party in Dubai. And all that thing they are telling their villagers will change automatically. So as far as going to the House of Rep member, asking them, what do you want to do? What do you want to do?
No. It's not asking them what do you want to do. It's insisting that they represent the people. Because when the people arise, when hundreds of thousands of people come to your office, come to your home, and demand something, you will pay attention, right? You would definitely pay attention. So we need to get this sensitization and mobilization on the ground that we're talking about. This is what we're talking about, and it isn't anything that is foreign. The French Revolution, the poor people rose up, they spoke, and they said, you need to give us food, you need to make the situation better, right? The monarchy says, oh, please, the aristocrats, let them eat cake, right? Then the people got tired and they responded off with their heads, right? Yeah. So our people, we need to get our people to the level where they understand that, yes, there is pressure on these elected officials. However, they have comfortable pressure, right? The senator's making $600,000 a year while 90 million people are dying in Nigeria of hunger. The president, I was watching this video about how much they put for travel internally for the president. Is it 300 million now? Where is he going? 90 million people died. And the first thing that they wanted to do was to cut minimum wage, right?
Yeah.
So, the people need to understand this. We need to educate them and tell them that they have the power, right? They can change. They can make a change in what's going on.
They can change their own destiny. That's important.
Okay. Let's go back to this whole thing about can Southern governors, Middle Belt, can they raise a president? Let's answer that question. I know what we've been saying, right? We've been talking about it, and we've shown kind of what the situation is. And one of the things I want to bring up is even just having this conversation of zoning tells you that unitary Nigeria is not a democracy. Unitary Nigeria, under that fraudulent 1999 Constitution, aka Military Decree 24, cannot work for Nigeria, does not work for indigenous Nigerians at all. If they have to beg, if they have to plead, if they have to make threats, unitary Nigeria must fold for indigenous Nigerians to live.
Yeah.
So can I answer? Yeah, can I answer Dr. Ngozi's question?
Absolutely.
About like what do we do? Because right, is that not what you were asking? Right? What do
go
we
ahead.
do?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, what do we do with regards to going? Yeah, one, letting our people know. Sensitizing them. Up to the degree where they will have to, stand up and and basically, ask for what truly belongs to them. That's number one. But remember that when we say that, they should go to their representative, these people don't represent the mass. They don't represent the masses, and we know that. You know why? It's because they were selected by their bosses, right? Even as we speak, the 2023 election, right? Yes. That is yet to happen in about a year's time, right? The results of the elections has already been written. Let's not fool ourselves, right? When people go to the polls, they're just they're just trying to validate, whatever they've cooked up, and that's a fact. So if we say that, we want to spend time and educate these representatives, they work for them, right? They actually work for the people who are the ones cooking up the books, right? They work for them. So again, I would just say that the answer is for us to to sensitize our people in such a way that we're not going to continue the process established by the fraudulent constitution, which the 2023 election is part of it, until we address we address how we want to proceed as a nation. Okay, through referendum. So in the referendum, do we want to be together? And if that's it or not. Correct. Yes, do we want to be together? Let the people decide, right? Do we want to be together or not? If the answer is yes, that we want to be together, well, let's negotiate the terms of our union or exactly. of our operations, our modus operandi or whatever that's exactly. So that's exactly what we need to be focusing on, really. How we will sensitize the people, we will raise it to the level where they will absolutely reject whatever 2023 is without a referendum. We need to be heard. That's what we need. That's the answer. Ngozi, I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, it is. I support very much what Dr. Modukwe just said just now, and it's a battle that we have to take on, and I'm really sort of go ahead and say, right, you know what, this is not acceptable. We cannot continue in this manner. And that is why the key thing that we're doing this around that issue of talking in our languages, going into the communities is very, very important. Last week, I believe we spoke about the fact that many of the discussions that we have, sometimes it tends to be around the issue of we're speaking to the converted. Many of the discussion is around in English, but we need to really get into our communities, tell them what is really happening, how this will impact them in their language, in broken English. And we need more people to help us in that journey. Because the more people understand, when we tell them, when we say an example, for example in Yoruba, nǹkan báyìí 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 ẹsẹ̀ báyìí o apá báyìí báyìí o nǹkan báyìí ló sọ o ẹ lọ yẹ̀wò o báyìí báyìí o kí lẹ rí sí o. When you say that in the language, you are waking up, you are connecting with the people. Our people are very, very, very knowledgeable. But when you hide knowledge from the best brains, even they won't know what to do. So by us speaking in our local languages, and I encourage every one of us to get on this struggle. We start talking in our language. Anything that we find out, ìwé òfin wọ́n fẹ́ yí ìwé òfin padà wọ́n tún fẹ́ ṣe òjòrò kan lọ́fẹ́ gbé wọlé o nǹkan báyìí lọ́sẹ̀ o wọ́n fẹ́ pẹ́ káwọn Fúlàní wọlé o àwọn ọ̀rẹ́ ti bọ́yà lọ́dọ̀ wa o kí lè rí sọ̀rọ̀ yìí o. We start talking in that way. We really infuse them, because when we talk in the language they understand, they then feel part of this struggle. One of the major issues that we have is that our people do not feel part of this struggle. Make our talk small, broken, small, I beg. You see, make we talk to our people. Make we break them down. You see, when we talk, say, this government, now wuru government. You see, the thing where we say, when they say that wuru, we say, before any person from Bayelsa go be president and governor or house of rep or senator, he go first go see Emir. Now, Emir go say, oh yeah, we agree, make you do. That now waiting we won't stop. You see, that's the kind of example of what I'm saying. We need to talk in that way with our people. We need to touch and reach the local people in the language they understand. When we speak to them in the language, and we have to do a lot more. We haven't done quite enough. Let's be very frank.
No, we haven't even started. We haven't started.
So this is not a blame thing, but it's to recognize the kind of work we need to do. And all of us, we need to conscientize and wake up those who are home, who are keen to do this, that we need them to pass the message to our people in their language. Because when they're speaking English, people tune out. They say it's not to do with them, it's government. But government is of the people, by the people, for the people.
Exactly.
And this is where that connection has got to come back in. So I just wanted to just bring that into the discussion. I'll pause here. Let somebody else carry on.
Yeah, great comments. Prof. Anyeribe, do you have something to talk about this? Can the president come from the middle belt to the south, given everything that's in the Constitution, the fact that the Northerners, meaning Fulani Controlled North, is talking about that they have the numbers, right? And that they can keep the presidency forever, So, comments.
Given the constellation of things in Nigeria at the moment, it will be an uphill task. That's number one. Number two, I have a problem with the so-called elite, political elites in the Venus area. Because they're the people who are power hungry, money hungry, who think less about their own potentialities within their community of indigenous Nigerians. But they want to shine beside a slaver. And that's the problem I'm having with them. So even those of them, the diasporans, they are already vying for senatorship.
Yes.
Representation in the House of Representatives.
Absolutely.
Many of them, even though they have failed before at the presidency, are gunning for presidency again. How do we get to these people and make them realize that they are putting the cart before the horse?
Yeah.
If you don't keep your compound clean, if you don't even have a compound, I find it difficult to go out to be a ruler. That is the only thing I can say about it. And I would solicitate that at the next discussion, we include it as a primary topic. How and do we deal with these who should know, who have known? Look, if I talk about my mother, I wouldn't talk about her right now. She might not be interested in what I'm talking about as long as I provide gari for her and give her meat for the soup.
Yes.
But if you're the person who has to work for himself and for herself, they need to understand what we're saying. And the people who are supposed to tell them that the people who are vying for all these offices, there are people who are not of much help to the Indigenous project. That's all. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. That's kind of the crux of the problem. And I'll let somebody else talk. I'm going to bring up, what I want to bring up is the intermarriages between the Southern elite politicians and the Northern elite politicians, so that we can see that. But somebody else, go ahead. Let me pull that up so that I can put it up on the screen, because these are important things for us to bring together for people to understand. So Ngozi, Stephen, Modupe, you can unmute yourselves and have a go while I bring this information up.
Okay. Please do contribute. We'd like to hear from people. Go ahead. Okay, I'll just say one or two words about that whilst you're doing that. Now, I've heard about this. Apparently, the one Oba of Lagos married a Fulani woman, from what I understand, and she's now being sort of portrayed in a preeminent way, and the people who are in that area are sort of now understanding what is going on. That everything is Fulani, and what is the Seriki of Lagos? The way apparently his palace is huge, and it is significant. It is a sign of their dominance. But many of our so-called Western and politicians are not keen on that fact. They even go and actually, they go to him, and if they sit next to him, they revere this man. Somebody said something, was it last week, that when the British came, I think somebody I spoke to, they said the British, when they had that, we had a Seriki in Lagos. The British actually went not to confirm with them, but to actually, they couldn't believe it, so they went, and it's part of their finding to now understand. So again, this thing, we have to take that responsibility on. The people, the levers of power is in the hands of the North. We have to be very, very clear. Every single level, every single layer of power is in the hands of the North.
Oh, right. Modupe, this is where you come in with the list.
So what I do want to say to you,
list? Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yes, I have.
So okay, please do show us that. The levers, and even politically, socially, financially, economically, every single aspect of that nation is under lock and key in the hands of the Fulanis. Even the information.
Yes.
And this is we are sleepwalking. We've sleepwalked into complete disaster. The only thing is to wake up the coming generation and begin to get them to arrest this situation. For example, we should be saying that the next people who are going to run for any election should not have anything to do with the emir. It should be no emirs.
It must be indigenous Nigerians. Exactly. It must be ancestral indigenous Nigerians.
You see the problem there, Jean, is that they're actually indigenous, but they are being handpicked to go to the emir, and the emir will now give the okay. That is the key point. So and if we're not careful, what would then happen is we better start now, because the next level that will happen is now once they get all of the Fulanis to now become indigenous, guess what? They will be the ones who will now be representing a man from Ogun State, a Hausa man who's now an indigene will represent a man in Ogun State, and the emir will say yes. A man in Bayelsa who is a Fulani man will now go and represent a Bayelsa in
that Fulani man might be a Fulani man from Gambia. He could be a Fulani man from Cameroon. He's not even Nigerian.
But that's what they're already doing in the north.
Absolutely.
That's what they're already doing.
Absolutely. They want to. Right.
And they are trying to take over in the south. So we really need to. This marriage thing is almost the complete end, because once they marry in and the blood is in, that is. I'm not saying we shouldn't marry. Don't get me wrong, but I'm saying our system, we need it to be southern. It has to be.
There are certain things that we need to put in place in the Constitution to stop what's going on in Nigeria. But I'm going to go ahead and read out some of these things that we can understand, and then I'll pull up the information on the marriages.
Yeah. So these are the list. Actually, the first 20 or so list of ministers in Nigeria in 2021, just this past year. So we have Zainab Ahmed from Kaduna, right? Yes. Minister of Finance. Mm-hmm. So if you actually look, as we go down the list, you just note, the ministries that are headed by Fulanis. I mean, Fulani, person. I mean, a person of Fulani origin. You will see that it's the heavy ones. Exactly. Non-indigenous, exactly. Non-indigenous people. The heavy ones, like Minister of Finance, right? Yeah. Or Muhammad Mahood, Kaduna State, Minister of Environment. Of course, we know all of the green spaces and everything, and and everything that comes with it. So it's Mahmoud who is in charge. Then Sabo Nanono, Kano State, Minister of Agriculture and Development. We're talking about Ruga and all this stuff. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Major General Bashir Sahili
Magashi. Yes.
Kano State, Minister of Defense. You see where power, yes. Defense.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, we're already surrounded. Right there, you can see we're already surrounded.
We are. Yes.
We've aviation.
Exactly. And then
Justice, KB.
Yeah. And then
Minister of State, Kogi. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yes, look at that. Minister of yes, exactly. And even look at look at this one too. Well, okay, now let's look at Minister for Information. What are you informing about? What information are you? What are you?
Lai Mohammed.
Exactly. Minister of Disinformation and Misinformation.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Can I please? I want to say something about the Gomisara Saraki.
Go ahead.
You see, this is where people who are talking. If you are talking APC, PDP, this should give you an indication that all of that is a game. Because I'm sure this Gomisara Saraki must have some kind of relation with.
I think she's the sister of the person.
There you go. So now you see, and again, that is Fulani. So now, and these are things that is happening right before our eyes. So please carry on with the list.
Yes. Yeah, and correct me if I'm wrong. They also said that. I mean, I also heard that the Sarakis are Fulani, that they are actually, half Fulani, and they just have a little bit.
Exactly. That is indeed the case.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Then Fashola, Minister of Works and Housing. Yeah. I think somebody is about to speak. Mr. Faleti, you want to say something?
Yes, I just want to chime in on the intermarriage thing that my brother spoke about. With all due respect to him, I want to be misquoted. Or how did he say? Don't get me wrong. Please get me wrong. We should not intermarry.
Okay.
Yes. And I'm saying it
it's used as a weapon. Yes,
it is a weapon. Yes. Let's get to the root. Let's get to the root.
Yeah.
Let's get to the root. We should not intermarry. It is not my opinion. It is the law of God. And I'm not ashamed to bring religion into the discourse. We are in the same plight that the children of Israel were back in the days, right now. The Lord told the children of Israel not to intermarry. Why? Because it will mix up the races and it will eventually make the Israel race extinct. This is the same thing that the Fulanis are trying to do. They are trying to intermarry so that the next generation will not be purely Yorubas, and the generation after that will be purely Fulani.
Yeah.
Yes, we should not be ashamed to say these things.
Yeah.
I mean, intermarrying with the Fulani is essentially sleeping with the enemy.
The indigene.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's sleeping with the enemy.
So let's talk about Governor Ganduje's of Kanu's daughter married Governor Ajimobi of Oyo's son.
Okay, yeah.
It's all arranged. It's all arranged within the elite class.
Exactly. Ganduje's daughter married former IGP Mohammed's son.
You want to share that? Let me stop sharing this story.
So please, Dr. Modupe, send me that list, please. Send me that list.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
And then Buhari's daughter married the richest man's son from Borno State, while his son married the princess of Kano. Abike Dabiri, former lawmaker and now special advisor to this president on foreign matters, is now an in-law to Governor of Ogun State. Are you guys watching what's happening at the top?
Yeah.
At the elite top, the political elite top. This is what's going on. Right?
They are concentrating power within the elite class.
Exactly.
While surreptitiously still continuing the Futajalon agenda for the next generation.
Yes.
Majupe, you can stop sharing your screen now. That'd be great. Okay. So we're coming to end of our program today, and we do apologize for the issues that we had in the beginning with regards to having people come
so I didn't much
going live, so we had a problem there. But next week we're all set now. We got the training, and we'll make sure that we put this up earlier. Okay, but the things that we're talking about today is extremely important. It is extremely important. It's extremely important for not just those at home, but for those in the diaspora to understand what's going on. Because we act the same as Prophet Nyerebe said, rightly so. Those in the diaspora are already vying for senators and presidency or whatever in Nigeria, saying that they have no interest. Right? They have no interest in stopping the 2023 election to save their people. Right? Everybody wants to go because there is corruption that is made legal, like it's not legal, made official in the Constitution. And then let's talk about the amendments. Let's pull up just do you have those, the three that we talked about, 36, 38, and 42? Could you flash that up so that we can tell our people what's actually going on with the political elite, what they are doing to their own people? If we can pull that up, that would be awesome. We're going to look at 36, 38, and 42.
Let me go 30. Can you put that? Okay. If you got it, good. Okay.
Yes, I am. So let me move this. Okay. All right, so this is 36.
Yeah, go ahead. What does it say?
So it's a bill, 36, bill for an act to alter the provisions of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, to expand the scope of citizenship by registration and for related matters.
So
by the way, the related matters, the Ruga colony is
exactly.
Yeah, very
well, that one is coming next. This is to make it possible for all those Fulani around Africa to now get citizen by registration, right? Even though they have Ruga, which Ruga is not really about pasteurization.
No.
It's about giving Nigerian money to non-Nigerian Fulani, is giving Nigerian land for free to non-Nigerian Fulani, and worst of all, giving Nigerian citizenship to all Fulanis in Africa. Who the hell thinks that makes sense or has any basis for that to be true?
No.
How about all the Yorubas around Africa having Nigerian citizenship and getting land and getting 100% of their costs taken care of? Where is that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So, where is that, Buhari? Where is that? Where are some of the people in Akeredu, right? Where is that pre-K? Where have you seen that? Okay.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
Let's go to the next one.
Yeah, can I just say something real quick?
Absolutely. Go ahead.
Because I know, Sister Tinu, Attorney Tinu was here last week, and she said something. She actually made 2 points that actually stuck with me. Is that number one, that they that whatever the provisions are within the within the constitution, that actually that we can when we actually start to analyze it, that in there are certain things that will also hold them as well. And let me just say what I see in here. Remember that she pointed out the fact that the definition, or the the criteria for you becoming a citizen, that you have to assimilate into the culture. So I'm telling you, with this, there are provisions still, right? If we too can go and challenge all of this, right?
That is the point.
Documented evidence. I mean,
exactly. That is the point.
Where these people have not assimilated into the culture. In fact, they are telling the culture to assimilate
to them.
They are killing. They are destroying farmland. They cannot have citizenship in Nigeria because that is not assimilated into the culture, right?
Exactly.
And other countries, they will take away your citizenship if you have a felony. Killing people is a felony. Destroying farms is a felony. Right? Kidnapping.
So I guess what I'm trying to say, though, Jean, is that all of those, I mean, if we really, first of all, the whole constitution is not even valid. But
it's a fraud.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, but this is making it even more fraudulent.
All these are contestable, though. That's what I'm saying. Because remember that. Let me also say this, and then I'll just stop there. Do you
go on to the next one? So we should talk about the next one.
The Fulanis, how they've been able to suppress our people and even suppress our so-called representatives and leaders, is that they will start slamming them with all these bogus lawsuits and stuff like that. Remember, and I was surprised when I actually heard that when Obasanjo was the president and Atiku was the vice president, that Atiku slapped him with 30 lawsuits.
Yes, honestly, I was surprised.
That way, disturbing the man. So that's what they're going to do to any. So it's like, basically, if you're a Southern or a Middle Belt person, or you were not handpicked by them, they will frustrate you. That they will do all these kinds of things to frustrate you. I'm like, we have this, with these their provisions, we can actually make sure. I mean, it's like we're just going to be pointing out assimilation, criminality. Criminality. Absolutely. So all of this, all of these items are definitely not in line with the provision of 36 that you voted in. I'm thinking that it's like there's a way where there's a
will. Where there's a will, there's a way.
Where there's a way, there's a will. Exactly.
Okay, let us go to the next one so that we can go ahead and wrap up. Because we talked about this last week, and one of the things that we made clear, because there are people that say, "Oh, we'll just ignore it." You cannot ignore it.
You can't.
If you don't speak, a closed mouth does not eat. A closed mouth does not get freedom. Right? Or what they do. So no. The organizations, especially freedom organizations in Nigeria, must speak loudly against these things, must hold their representatives accountable. And then we're going to talk about 42 right after I said that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Madupe.
So 38, bill for an act to alter the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to provide criteria for the qualification to become an indigene of a state. So you see what they did here? So probably they will now go in and maybe remove some of those words like assimilation and do all of this. You see what they're doing?
No. They want to put colonies. Let's not forget. They want to put colonies.
But here,
and so that would come in under this provision.
But also you see the word criteria.
Yes, absolutely.
They can put anything in there. Because right now it's very vague.
Yes.
Those criteria is very vague, and they will put in whatever.
Pass. Jane, did this bill pass? 38. Did it pass?
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah, I think it did. It did.
Yeah, all of these passed.
And it was signed.
It was. Yes, it was. And no one from the South voted against it.
Yes.
Okay.
Exactly. 42 did not pass, but the other two passed.
And they want to still make some changes to it. They want to come back and make some changes they're still talking about.
Right, but the point is we have to stand firm against it. We cannot just let it continue. And say that, if we ignore it, no. There is no such thing as ignoring. We cannot ignore these situations.
No.
Okay? The people must speak and loudly from all areas, right? All areas of the...
Jill, the thing is, these amendments they did, again, they've worked on it. They voted on that, on these bills. Some of them passed, some of them failed. So those ones that have passed, for instance, this 38, I have to go back and look at it again. If these bills passed, all he's waiting for is the signature from Buhari.
It will be signed. He signed it. He's already signed it.
Okay, so it's already signed. That's it.
But it doesn't matter. The people can still voice it because they rushed it through. We didn't even have time for people to really talk about
this is the justification for us going for a referendum, because the Constitution is a fraud and they are tweaking the fraud to perfect the fraud. And we need to reject it.
Yeah, but remember the area, there was a bill for restructure and in this thing, the vote, it failed.
Yeah, so, none of the Southern people voted for it. None of them. So, that's what I heard. None of them voted for referendum. None of the political elite voted for referendum.
Because they don't want their pockets. It's their pockets they're looking for.
Well, I mean, again, that's what we're talking about, right?
Yeah, so these messages are pretty clear. The restructure failed, and I know many Nigerians needed the restructure. Now they failed it, and then what is the next thing? They already voted, and then numbers are there.
Yeah, that's kind of what we're talking about.
So I'll send you that, Dr. Rabweze. The voting. So it did pass. This one passed. 36 passed also.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. 36, 38.
Okay, but if you can go off screen sharing, that'd be great.
Then, but 42 didn't pass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, send me details of that, please, as well.
Okay.
And by the way, I sent you something.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you, Jane.
Sorry, no, yeah, I do have. Yeah, I have that from so many different sources. But I sent you something that talks about the colonies in the states. Just open it up and take a look. If you can go off screen share, that'd be great, so that we can start wrapping up here.
Okay.
We did start late.
Just now? You send it to me now? Okay.
In WhatsApp.
Whilst we are doing that, I will read up the Amadou Bello quote in Yoruba, so people can hear it.
Do you have it?
I have it. It's on the screen.
The picture up.
I have a picture.
Yeah, I want to share that.
Okay, let me. But I don't know. Well, maybe I could forward it to. Should I?
Just go to share screen and share your screen.
Okay. Let's do this now.
Yeah, I can just share your screen because I believe you are. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I can. Yes, I can.
Yeah, okay. Because I know you were co-host, so you should be able to.
So now, I want you to. Can you see that on the screen?
Yes, very good, very good.
So I'm going to read it out, and it states that orílẹ̀-èdè tuntun tí à ń pè ní Nàìjíríà yẹ kí ó jẹ́ ohun ìní ti wa láti ọwọ́ baba ńlá wa Uthman Dan Fodio. àgbọ́dọ̀ láàánú ìdílọ́wọ́ yípadà agbára. À lo àwọn nǹkan tí àríwá bíi ṣetán irinṣẹ́ àti àwọn gúúsù bíi agbègbè tí a ti ṣẹ́gun wọn àti má ṣe jẹ́ kí wọ́n jọba lórí wa. A kò sì gbà wọ́n láàyè ní ìṣàkóso lórí ọjọ́ iwájú wọn. So basically, that's what I just translated what he said there. And the last word I said is the word he spoke. Ọ̀rọ̀ burúkú tí Amadu Bello kọ ní Yorùbá Ìtají referendum báyìí. So again, I'm speaking to the people in our language to make them wake up, to make them see that it is of immense importance that we begin to challenge these people, that we do not accept this injustice. You know, so for when the people are speaking, when we write in our languages this way, we are helping the people to understand what has been done and translating, because I bet many people in our local dialects don't understand this because they just say it's English. But when we translate it and they understand the impact on them, that's part of waking them up. So we need to do more of this. I will be bringing the one from Amadu Bello, not Amadu Bello, Tafawa Balewa as well. He said something as well, that they wanted to carry conquest to the sea. But many people didn't know this.
We need to get that
so
also.
These are things that we should really be highlighting. And these are the people who the northern Fulani leaders revere as leaders.
Yes.
These are the people they revere as leaders. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So I'll end it.
Is it possible for you to translate this into Igbo? Because I have a lot of strong big words over here.
Yeah, okay. I can work on that.
Okay. So you can read it in English, though. You can read the English version.
Oh, okay.
Or somebody can also read it in Pidgin,
Yeah. I think,
Okay.
Yes.
I can work on that.
Yeah, but go ahead and read the English one, just so that the English people would hear it.
Okay. I'll read it. The new nation called Nigeria should be an estate of our great-grandfather, Uthman Dan Fodio. We must ruthlessly prevent the change of power. We use the minorities of the North as willing tools and the South as a conquered territory, and never allow them to rule over us, and never allow them to have control over their future. Amadu Bello, 12th of October 1960 is when he said this. 12 days after the so-called independence. That should tell you how much plan they have already in place. That independence was a charade.
Exactly.
So I'll stop there.
Exactly. I mean, obviously Africa, especially Black and South Africa, supposedly had independence, but did not actually. Exactly. We've seen that happen. That independence, we actually don't have independence. What we have is a system that is designed to keep Africa impoverished.
Yeah.
To use the greed of its leaders, to generate poverty amongst the people and to take its resources to build the first world, the second world, and to keep Africa impoverished and under the feet of others. It's up to us, people of color, to understand what's going on, not just in Nigeria. The Fulanese are not just in Nigeria.
Yeah.
Okay, they're using these same tactics in other West African countries and have actually also risen to the level of presidency and doing the same thing, right?
Yeah.
So they move themselves from one country to the other, right? So they can be citizenship in other countries, but then they move them to the next country that they want to Fulanize. And that's what's happening to Nigeria right now, okay?
Yeah.
So they just move from place to place, trying to find a place where they can actually succeed. And if we're not careful, they will succeed in Nigeria. And so we need to wake up people up and let them understand exactly what's going on, okay? Yeah. And yes, we need the international community to understand what they're doing. They know what they're doing, but they need to know that we know what they're doing as well.
Exactly.
And that, that we're not going to continue to tolerate our people being killed so that their people can flourish, okay? That needs to stop all over Africa. It needs to stop, okay? Now the Chinese are coming in, trying to take that which the others have not taken, right? They're cutting stones, like precious stones, cutting them up from Nigerian soil, taking them away. Yeah. They're bringing their people into China and discriminating against
us in our own land.
Even in South Africa. They go to South Africa and they're discriminating against the owners of the land. Okay, so we need to wake up. It's not just about Nigeria. Africa, Black Africa, you must wake up to your plight. Okay.
Jane,
so is somebody going to say this in Pidgin?
Okay.
Just need to make a quick point about what you just said.
Go ahead.
As recently as 2011, we need to remember that the Fulanis temporarily succeeded in running Central African Republic until the people rose up.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Drove them out.
Yes.
I'm glad you said that, Stephen. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah,
Stephen,
we need to bring that. In fact, I will mention that.
I think, how about our next conversation? Let's talk about that so that our people can see that even a smaller nation was able to get them out. Right?
Exactly.
So how about next
Central African Republic?
What do you guys think? I think that's a
great
one to talk about.
Yes.
It will be
very important.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great comment, Stephen, because I've been thinking about that we need to bring that in. And we need to reach out to them to borrow from what they've already done.
I know, you read my mind.
Yes, absolutely.
We need their template.
We do.
Absolutely. So does somebody want to do this in Pidgin?
Make our time small.
Okay.
The nation where we call Nigeria, now it go be our grandpa estate, with Mandafudu. We go make sure say nobody could come up power for our hand. We go use the northerners. As we go use them as tools, we say then we go use them conquer the south. We go never allow them to rule over us, and they not go fit control their own destiny. And that's what people are. Thank you very much.
This one a really bad one because they talk here say the south. They go treat us like conquered territory. Not even where they see. Would they see them for Oyo? They reach 70. Would they see them for the one put emir? They have emir.
They put emir everywhere.
They want put colony everywhere. And to that, but were you able to open that that I sent to you about the colony? And Prophet Nyerebe, go ahead, please. Go ahead and speak. You can just unmute and speak.
I only have a simple question.
Okay.
The past month up to last year, we were having a lot of people participating. At times 80.
Yes.
And today there was maximum of eight people.
Well, just to explain that away, because we took a hiatus, and so we're kind of coming back into this. We just restarted. That's kind of why. And it just kind of takes a little bit of time to build up to the prior numbers. But just so you understand, right, the people that are here, because we've not turned this, as you can see, it's a little bit different from before. This is where we're actually having a discussion, right? And it's being watched in a lot of platforms where thousands of people are viewing it. Yeah. Right. So it's not just about what happens here. Right?
We're having discussion outside. It's being watched by people live as well. So
Exactly. Okay. So we're going to be increasing the number of places where we're showing it live and where it gets reviewed, so that we can have thousands of people instead of a few handful. And Ginger Media has been fantastic because every time that we broadcast there, it's a minimum of 2,500 people that view it within that first day. So that's been great to partner with them, and we just have to build up all of our avenues. We're going to be reaching out to bloggers so that they can start blogging about this. So we're doing things a little bit differently so that we can actually have a greater reach. Does that make sense, Prophet Nyerebe?
Yep, it's okay.
Okay, that's what we're trying to do, is to increase the outreach to people. Not necessarily, yes, we want to have people come in here and have the discussion, but we want to have a greater number of people to be able to see it. Okay, so go ahead. This is about
branching.
Yes.
Right?
So the government is, this is everywhere. The government is establishing stuff for ranchers. Where exactly are the indigenous farmers? The indigenous farmers are having their farms destroyed, and they are being put in IDP camps, while the government, whether the federal or in this case state, right, are establishing ranches for the Fulani using Nigeria money. Free land. What indigenous person gets free land? I want free land in Kano. I'm an indigenous person. I want free land in Kano. or Sokoto. Let them give.
You will never get it.
But that is the point we need to make to our people. Our people need to understand what is going on, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Can I ask you, my brother, Citizen AY,
Yes,
is it possible to say this in Yoruba that okay, they are giving the elders, they are giving them land?
Yes.
Yes.
For free.
Farmers, Yoruba farmers, where are your lands?
Your lands.
Yes, for free.
Ask them.
We want free,
Yes.
we want free land.
Ilẹ̀ yín dà. On fún ilẹ̀ lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ lọ́hùn ilẹ̀ tí yín dà. So that kind of thing, yes. I'll put it out there.
Please.
Yeah,
so, please send me this link.
Where are you with the Igbo version?
Dr. Mudupe, send me this link.
I will.
Because I use it as a basis of discussion as well.
Okay, Mama Ngozi, where you did now?
Where's the Igbo version?
Oh, I think she dropped.
Yeah,
she don't drop. She don't come out. She don't come out.
Tell her. Fulani, Nigeria, citizenship. How we give bata. Nunani, Nadani, Enyehego, Enyehani, Hanaha, Owe Haneme, and a Ghana Ziko Kita. Okwa na Kaduna State, El Rufai, arụrụ ha ebe ha ga na-etinye ehi ha. Okwa ha ga-enye ha ana, ha ga-arụrụ ha, and sisọ ihe ha ga-eweta bụ ụmụ ehi ha. Ajụjụ anyị na-ajụ ndị a si esi bịa n'ụlọ anyị bụ ka ekwa n'ihe ndị nọ n'ala na-enweta. Ọ bụ na a na-enye ndị mmadụ niile ihe nke unu ga-ezi ihe anyị na-enweta. Unu ga-amalitekwa ma akwa ihe na-emenụ. Unu ga-amalitekwa na-agwakwa ha na nke anyị emekwa eme. Ndị si esi abụghị ndị ga na-eri ihe nọ na ala anyị. Daalụnụ.
Very good. Very, very good.
Very good. Well done. Well done.
But I know you said something. I know you said something.
I think I did really well on that too.
I'm proud of you.
You can go ahead and stop sharing so that we can round up.
Okay. Please.
You know what? I should have asked Professor Yeri to do the translation.
Let him say it in Yoruba too.
So I am satisfied with what you said, Jean.
I did pretty well, right? I thought I did really well.
But we have to fine tune it.
But I thought I did really well. I brought in the main points, and I didn't think one that most people understand.
And that's what I said. Yes.
Can we have maybe like 2 minutes? Let my brother say it to our people, please.
Okay, just put the picture up so I can read this a little bit as I'm translating,
right.
Just to show it up.
Okay.
So Mama gbìyànjú àti túmọ̀ nǹkan tí wọ́n kọ síbẹ̀ tí nǹkan tí Furufai ṣe ní ilẹ̀ Kaduna kọ́ ni.
Ilẹ̀ Kaduna, yes.
Ilẹ̀ Kaduna. Ẹ̀yin ọmọ káàrọ̀-oòjíire, ẹ wá gbọ́ tuntun, ṣe fẹ́ gbọ́, ẹ jẹ́ ká gbọ́ eléyìí o. Gómìnà ní ilẹ̀ Kaduna, Rufai, ní kí ló ṣe? Wọ́n ní pé torí pé àwọn ò fẹ́ kí àwọn darandaran kan máa daran káàkiri ilẹ̀, wọ́n á fún wọn ní ilẹ̀. Lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ ni o. Wọ́n kàn fún wọn lọ́fẹ̀ẹ́ àwọn èèyàn wọn. Wọ́n ti ní pé àwọn ọmọ máa fún àwọn darandaran nílẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wọn. Èmi wá fẹ́ bi ní ìbéèrè kan o. Ẹ jọ̀ọ́, ilẹ̀ wo ni àwọn ìjọba ń fún yín bẹ̀yẹn o? Ẹ béèrè ilẹ̀ tí yín náà. Ẹ̀yin Yorùbá tẹ́wàá ń bẹ̀yẹn ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ fúnlẹ̀ ní Kaduna. Ṣé wọ́n lè fún yín nílẹ̀ ní Kaduna? Ìyẹn la fẹ́ mọ̀ o. Ṣé rí ara tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sí wa rèé? Ẹ jẹ́ kí gbogbo wa mọ̀. Wọ́n ń fún àwọn darandaran nílẹ̀ ní ọ̀dọ̀ wọn náà. Tọ́ máa pa àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n wá láti Nàìjíríà. Wọ́n wá láti Nàìjíríà. Tọ́ máa dẹ̀ pa àwọn èèyàn wa, wọn ò ní sọ kọ́bọ̀ fún wa o. Tọ́ bá pa gbogbo àwọn àgbẹ̀ wa tó ti pa Dr. Aborode, wọn ò sọ kọ́bọ̀. Ara rẹ̀ jẹ́ tá à ń sọ nìyẹn o. Afẹ́kẹ́ mọ̀ yẹn. Màá dájú báyìí náà. A tún máa sọ̀rọ̀ lórí ẹ̀. Ẹ ṣeun.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you so much.
Ẹ ṣeun. So we just try to explain just like Jean did there. So thank you so much. I hope I'll be doing a program on that specifically because I need to raise the awareness about this.
10 billion
naira.
10 billion naira.
You see,
you can go off the screen share. And so let's round up. The question that we had today was, true or false? Do the indigenous Nigeria have self-governance? And I will go around the room and each one will just say true or false. Do they have self-governance? Prof. Enyerebe, do we have self-governance in the Middle Belt to the south, the indigenous people of Nigeria? And the Hausas too, because we have to put them in there.
In my opinion, at the present disposition, we don't have self-governance. Everything is imposed. And even if somebody suggests that we are free, we don't have the means to maintain and defend our freedom. That is not being independent.
Okay, awesome. Modupe, if you can get ready the Danjuma video, because that's very short, and we'll play that at the end because that kind of talks to what you're talking about freedom and what's actually going on. AY, true or false?
For me, it's a false. A nation, we don't have control over our resources, our lives, our land, even our mind, our thought process. These guys, everything. We are being controlled from top to bottom. So for me, it's a false. That is what we need to change. Thank you.
Okay, Modupe, true or false?
You're muted.
You're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yes, we are definitely not in control. We're not. In fact, we don't even have the illusion of being in control. So,
some people actually still have that illusion. Some people do, and that's why we're having these programs, to make it sure that people understand that there's no illusion. And
I'm telling you that the illusion is an illusion. Do you understand what I'm saying? The illusion is that actually a delusion. Really.
Yes, thank you. It's delusional for sure.
Yeah.
I like that, delusional.
So,
okay, Stephen.
Yes, ma'am.
Well, hold on, let Modupe finish. Sorry, Modupe, I thought
I mean, no, I'm done. Just like Prof said, we couldn't be. I mean, with the way things are, we could not be in control. It's not even possible.
It's not possible. It's not even close to being possible, and that's why we see where Feni Ferre is begging, Ohaneze is begging, Southern governors are begging, and the Northern
governors had to go and beg.
Are saying, we're not giving up power. We're not giving up power. And we're saying no referendum, no election.
No referendum,
no election.
No referendum, no election.
No election. No referendum, no election. Okay, Stephen, you're up. True or false?
It is false in its incipiency, and it is false by default. It is false by default because we've never had governors to begin with, and if we did, it's centrally planned. Secondly, it's also false by default because what is termed government is actually the creation of the Futajalon Manifesto.
Exactly.
Which rests power in the myopic views of the Fulanis. We are conquered people, and therefore we can't be self-governing if we're conquered people. Thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much. And Modupe, if you can get that Danjuma video, because this is one that every indigenous person must watch, because it actually captures, he's very clear about what's going on. He's very clear about who is aiding and abating this quote-unquote Fulanese, right? But if you notice, Buhari has never, ever said anything about Fulanese, and they're the ones on the paper every day killing. He talks about bandits. He talks about kidnappers. These are groups that you cannot even, pretty much technically we've heard from Lafia that said they're all the same, right? Bandits, kidnappers, Fulani, they're all the same, right?
Yeah.
However, Buhari has never condemned the Fulanese daily killings, the 4 million they have sacked from the land. He's even abandoned those that are in the IDP camps, right? So, we just really need to understand what's going on. So if you can please play that from, this is Danjuma, where he...
But the peace in this state...
Go to full screen. You can just play it. See, come down. No, come down. Yeah, right.
There's the screen.
Yeah, no. That the little thing with the little on the right hand side at the bottom, the right hand side. Come down. Yeah, come down right there. That looks like a TV. That looks like a TV.
It looks like a TV.
I can't see it.
Okay.
But anyway, don't worry about what because this my
it's okay, just go ahead and play it. Just so that people can understand.
Go ahead.
No, I think give me 1 second. Here's what I'm gonna do. Let me move on.
Yeah, because again, as we're talking about, right? This is really important for our people to hear, right? It's very important for our people to hear.
The peace in this state is under assault. There's an attempt at ethnic cleansing.
You see?
In this state, and of course, in all the riverine states of Nigeria.
Talking about all of the south, MBelt to the south.
We must resist it. We must stop it. Every one of us must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude with the armed bandits that kill people, kill Nigerians. They facilitate their movements. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to stop the killings,
they won't do.
You will all die one by one.
Wow. Those are very strong but true words that spoke in 2018.
Yeah.
And we have seen it unfolding every day. Okay? It's unfolding every day. Again, these are the videos that we need to translate, right? We need to translate these videos for our people. And we need to start pushing them down. If we need to get them on the radio, get them on the radio. We need to get them in the newspapers, local newspapers, if there's headlines, we need to do so. We put them on pamphlets so that people really understand what's going on. Because our very existence, it's not just about our land, but our very existence. We're facing an existential threat where, as it says, there is ethnic cleansing and there is a jihad and there is a Fulanization that's going on. So the indigenous Nigerian is under assault.
Exactly, under assault.
That was perfect, right?
Yes, under assault. Yeah, I put it in there too.
So thank you all very much. And next week, we are going to be talking about Southern African Republic.
Central African Republic.
Central African Republic. What happened with the Fulani there and how they were able to get their country back so that our people, they're a much larger group, will understand that it can be done and that we need to rid ourselves. I mean, everyone is welcome to come to Nigeria. Yeah. But when you come with the intent of killing the indigenous people and you carry it out on a daily basis and kill people like animals, and there is no repercussion, the government does nothing to stop them, right? Wouldn't even mention it. Talking about bandits and kidnappers. When Fulani herdsmen are on the front page, they're the only ones carrying guns to protect cows. You're killing people to protect cows? I mean, I'm sorry. Am I missing something here? So we're going to talk about that next week. Central African Republic and how they successfully save themselves from the hands of the Fulani. Yeah. Because again, this is not just a Nigeria problem. But right now, let's deal with our Nigerian problem. Get back our self-determination, our self-rule, right? Get back our assets. Get back our freedom for religion, our freedom to rally, our freedom for speech, right? And again, this attack is not just against Christians. It's also against modern Muslims. And it's also about the traditionalists because there's an Islamization agenda. The OIC, as Ngozi stated earlier, That's a huge red flag. The OIC, the multi-regional forces, all Muslim countries, Muslim-leading countries, not one single Christian-leading country. And these are all where we have all this Boko Haram, ISWAP, etc., etc. So how can you now ask these people to rein in their people who are killing Christians, moderate Muslims, and other indigenes? So thank you all very much. It's been a very lively discussion. Let's go ahead and start sharing the information so that people can join us, but also join us online.